Hey, welcome to our mini class today. Our theme is on grounding and felt sense. So there are two of the resources that we were looking at last week, many resources. We looked at a handful, and we're going to look a little deeper at the idea of feeling grounded today and being connected to the earth, as well as feeling our bodies and tuning into physical sensations in the bodies. And these are both really good ways of bringing the attention back to the present moment when we get sort of spun out in our mind somewhere. So coming back to the body, coming back to the ground, both of those have a really grounding effect on our systems and help to settle the nervous system. So we're going to start standing. If you have challenges with balance, you might want to have a chair, or if there's a wall nearby that you can use for support, you can use that. And otherwise, I can give you also modifications so that if balance is a bit challenging, you can make it easier without using any props. So coming to stand and coming into what's called mountain pose. Things all over my mat here. So mountain pose in Sanskrit is Tadasana, and it is a pose where we are really connected to the earth through our feet, and feeling that connection is part of the wisdom of the pose itself. So here in this pose, the idea is to have just slightly more weight dropping into your heels as opposed to weight in the balls of your feet. And you can actually try to shift back and forth a couple of times from the balls of your feet to the heels and notice what changes in your body. So what are you aware of when your weight is on the balls of your feet versus what are you aware of when your weight is in your heels? So my lower back changes shape when I rock forward, and you might see it if you happen to be looking at the screen. So I rock forward and get away from the window frame. My lower back tends to arch and collapse. When I rock back, my lower back tends to lengthen and release a little bit. Also, when I rock forward, my thighs relax. And when I rock back, my thighs have to engage to keep me stable. So there's a feeling of more deeply being engaged through the legs as you rock onto your heels, more deeply connected through the lower back to a neutral position. And then if this image works for you, as you pull the thighs up and drop into the heels, there's a sense of a pulling up in the front of the body, a lifting in the chest, and then a cascading down the back of the body, down from the back of the head all the way down into the feet, and especially the legs. So from the sitting bones, roots going down into the heels, and then a pulling up of the thighs, a lifting of the heart. So there's this energy kind of coming up the front of the body, washing down the back of the body and into the earth again. So if that image works for you, you might imagine that flow of energy in the body. Otherwise, you might just feel your feet on the ground and feel that connection as it is. And then tune into, are you holding your body rigid? So even though the thighs are engaged, the heels are dropped down, we still want to keep a little bit of softness in the body so it's not standing, stiff and upright, but relaxed and upright. So soften just a little bit your belly. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw. Now let's bend and straighten the knees a few times. And as you do this, you're not just bending your knees. You're actually flexing all three joints of your lower body, three major joints. So the ankles, the knees, and the hips are flexing here. And just notice that movement. Notice each joint. Right ankle, right knee, right hip, left hip. Right. And then from there, let's take the feet a little bit wider apart now, so roughly about the distance of your shoulders. Soft knees, so the knees are a little bit bent, hands to your hips, and we're going to circle the hips around. And as you do this, I invite you to notice the shift of weight on your feet. So start there. Notice how your weight shifts around your feet as you shift in a circle. Changing the relationship of your body to the ground. Shift directions, go the other way. And maybe this time notice, what do you feel in your hips? What are you aware of in terms of felt sense or physical sensation? Wonderful. And let's come right back to a neutral position. You can release the hands and bring the feet back in underneath you. So we're going to stretch the feet out a little bit, do a little bit of opening for the feet. Here's where you may find it helpful to have a chair or use the wall to support you so that you don't have to worry about balance. So the point of this exercise isn't actually about balance, but about stretching the feet. So later we'll work a little more with balance. So again, using the chair or not as is suitable for you, we're going to take one foot forward from the other. So one foot is back, 1 foot forward, and both feet are in the same plane, right? So not like when we do warrior and we turn the back foot out to the side, both feet are facing the same way. There's a bit of space between them, and then bend both knees. So when you bend both knees, most of the stretch or sensation will likely be in your back, lower part of your leg. So from sort of the mid calf down into the ankle, into the heel. You may feel it a little bit differently from what I'm describing, as long as it's not painful. Right? You might feel a little sensation of stretch, but you don't want to feel pain here. And then we're going to step onto the front foot, lift the back foot and take it back about the same distance again. So you're about twice as far now from your front foot as you were. Keeping your front knee bent, stretch and bring the back leg as straight as it's possible for you. And generally that will draw the stretch up a little higher into the calf. So see how that feels for you. And you can also try coming up onto your toes. This is good if you feel really tight in the calf, and then pressing the heel down. So back toes, lifting the heel, and then pressing the heel. Right. So we'll come back to step the feet together, and that leg that was back, whichever leg was just back, you're going to take that same leg, take the top of your toes to the ground, top of your foot to the ground. And here you want to just be cautious that you're not putting too much pressure, because it's not uncommon for the arch of the foot to cramp in this position when maybe you're not used to stretching the top of the foot so much. It's pretty uncommon to stretch this part of the foot. So I'm just letting the weight of my leg kind of drop down into my foot. If you want more, you can put a little more pressure, or you can rock from baby toes to big toes to move that stretch across the top of your foot. And then from there, turning the toe pads down to the ground, pressing down into the ground with your toes, pressing forward with your heel. So we're stretching the arch now. And then from there, you can, that same foot, you can lift it up and just give a little shake, maybe circle the ankle around, shake the leg. Letting that go. Let your ankle be floppy. And then come back to mountain pose for a moment and maybe notice the left leg, the right leg. You can close your eyes if you like, maybe hold on to your chair if you've closed your eyes so that you don't lose your balance. And notice, what am I aware of? What do I feel? How does one leg maybe feel different from the other, if at all? And maybe you notice absolutely nothing. So that is normal, that is fine. Many of us have areas of numbness or times where the body feels a bit numb. We don't feel so much sensation, and that can be a chronic habit as well. So if you're habitually tuning out from your sensations, maybe because there's pain or discomfort, it's hard to tune back in. And so whatever you notice is great. It's great. So now again, we're going to take one foot in front of the other, short step, okay. Holding on to a chair or the wall if you need to, bending both knees in order to feel, first of all, a stretch in the back ankle, but also bending both knees so you're stable. You could certainly have the front leg straight, but I find it's more stable with both legs, both little bend. And I'm just kind of sitting into that back heel, and so you can maybe see my hips are right over the back foot, not over my front foot, back foot. From there, you want to come over your front leg now and step back about twice the distance. So you're about twice as far as you were. Now your back leg is straight and your front knee is bent. So again, if you feel really tight here and you want to work with this dynamically, lift and lower the back heel. There's also a nice little stretch for the foot as you do that. Okay, and then you'll step forward again. In that same foot that you were just working with, you're going to take the top of your foot to the ground. Again, just let your leg hang down to create the stretch there. Again, you can put a little more pressure by literally pressing into the foot. See if you want more stretch, or you can roll from the big toes to the baby toes across the top of your foot to move that stretch around. And then bringing it forward, you can circle, shake, just finding a little ease into that ankle. Oh, and one more I forgot actually is to toe pads down now, heel forward. So stretching the arch, that's a good stretch today for me. And then from there, again, just give it a little shake to release. Great. And back to mountain pose. So heels down, thighs gently engaged, like they're pulling up from the kneecaps. And again, you might imagine that energy lifting through the front of your body. It draws the shoulders open and back, and then that energy drops down the back of the body into the earth. So drawing up, and you can imagine this with your breath, inhaling energy up the front of the body, exhaling, cascading down the back of the body into the earth. Great. So from here we will work on a little bit of balance. I'll show you a way you can do this without actually taking your foot off the ground, or you can do it with a little bit more emphasis on the balance. So I'll move the chair out of the way a little bit. So here, reaching up, and then as you exhale, you're going to release the heel, come to the toes of one foot, and bring your hands to your thigh. So that's the easy way. Alternating sides, so that foot comes down as the arms come up, and then the other side. And then if you're feeling a little bit more confident, instead of keeping the toes on the ground, you can lift the toes off the ground. So even if you wobble a little bit, you're ready to bring your toes back down. So it could be just a little bit off the ground, or if you're feeling really confident and you've got a good sense of balance today, you can bring the knee up as high into your body as you're able. So alternating sides, lifting the arm as the leg goes down, bringing the knee up any amount as the arms come down. Great, and let's come back to mountain pose. So as we come into a version where we're going to hold the leg up, again, you could do it with your toes on the ground, right? This would be the action, or you can lift the leg and take it out to the side. So if you want to be near a wall to help support you, or near a chair, you can do that. So here we will take the arms up, or just one arm if you're holding on, exhaling to bring the knee in. And then keeping just the hand that's on that corresponds to the same leg that's up. Right? So it could be toes on the ground, lifting or holding, could be holding under. And we're going to open that knee out to the side. Bring it back to the center. Release, so you have both hands on your hips. And then if you like, you can move the legs straight as you're lowering. Just gives it a little bit more work for your thigh to straighten the leg first. So back to Tadasana, feel both heels go down, energy going up the front of the body, creating that lift. And softening, energy cascading back down the back into the earth. Okay, let's breathe in and lift. And then exhale, other knee coming up. So again, any amount, bringing the hand to the hip, out of the way, and then opening that knee to the side, and back to center. So both hands on the hips. You can either just lower the leg bent, or if you want to work harder, move it straight, and then lower it down. Back to Tadasana. Give your legs, your arms, your body a little shake. Just let that go. Good. All right, so we will do another, we'll do a little bit of a sequence that brings a few movements together. If you know this and you've done it before, you might want to coordinate your breath. You can do that on your own. If you're new to it, just getting the movements down to begin with will be great. So if you're using a mat, you want to stand sort of in the front third of your mat so you've got room to step back. If you're not using a mat, just make sure there's nothing behind you that you could step on and become entangled with. So heels down. And as your heels go down, feel your tailbone drop a little, chest lift. And energy coming up the front, down the back of the body. And catching the next wave of energy, lifting the arms. Shifting your weight to your left foot. You can either bring the hands to the knees with your toes on the ground or lift that knee right up in towards your body. From there, that leg that you've lifted is going to step back and turn that back foot to the side now. So you're in a stance for warrior, lifting the arms. Right, from here, you bring your hands down onto your front thigh or shin or blocks or ground. So we're coming into a forward fold. Taking a couple of breaths here, and I encourage you to find a stretch that feels good for this leg. So if it's really tight, lots of bend. If you want more stretch, move it a little straighter. 1 or 2 breaths more here. So coming up, you want to bend that front knee over your ankle. We're lifting up, back to warrior one. From warrior one, we're going to step onto the front foot. This is where balance can be a bit tricky. Bring the other knee in. You can keep your toes on the ground or bring the knee right up in toward the chest. And then release the foot. We'll take the arms up overhead and then come into a forward bend. Exhale as you go forward if you're coordinating breath. And then with your next inhale, ride that wave, lifting you up. And then exhale to release your arms down to the sides. Right. So we'll do the other side as well. So starting again, heels down, energy coming up the front, down the back of the body. Catching the next wave up with the arms. Shifting your weight to your right foot now, bringing the knee up any amount, whatever serves you. Stepping back with that leg, warrior one. Good. Find your grounding here. Press into the back heel. Bring the hands forward to the knee or wherever you can comfortably reach. Try to let your head release, but keep your spine long. And then either keeping the knee really bent or moving it more straight so you feel the stretch that's just right for you. When you're ready, bending the front knee so it's over the ankle as you come up. Breathing in if you're coordinating breath. Great, exhale here. And then when you're ready, we'll step onto the front foot. You'll bring the knee up in towards your body or toes on the ground. And then release. Arms lift. We'll come into another forward bend. Exhale. Soft knees. Take a breath here. And come all the way up. And release. Beautiful. For the next one, you might use a chair for this one. You might not. It's up to you. I will demonstrate with my chair so that you can see the option here. So very similar to what we did. We're going to skip bringing the knee in and just step back with one foot now. So actually we'll do right foot back first, since that's what we did last time. So right foot back first. And you want to be far enough away from your chair that you have to reach a little for it. And then you'll step onto your front foot and lift the back leg, bringing your chest down toward the chair. You could bring your hands, you could have the chair facing the other way and have your hands on the seat of the chair. Right? If you're feeling confident, you might release one or both arms. Let's release to come back, both feet together. Pause for a moment, feel steady again in mountain pose. And then you can bring your hands to your chair. We'll step back with the other leg. So you want to find your grounding in Warrior One first. And then from there, shifting your weight onto your front foot, lifting the back leg, chest can come towards the top of your chair, or again, as I mentioned earlier, you might use the seat of your chair, straight arms coming right down to the seat. So your leg can lift any amount behind you. It could be a little lower, that's fine. Parallel to the ground if you're able. And then we'll release. So both feet together. I didn't give you the option to let go, but if you like, you can certainly do that pose again and try the balance part if you've been using a chair to help. So one way of doing this pose without a chair would be to step back, arms to the sides, and then just come onto the toes of the back foot and experiment with maybe lifting the leg a little. And if you have a chair, you could come into it that way as well, just coming down onto the chair, and then maybe trying from there. You can try again if you haven't with me already. You can try one more time. So other side, stepping back. So coming on to the toes, arms to the sides, taking your time, maybe lifting the toes, maybe keeping them on the ground. Maybe, there's so many options here, so making it your own. Come back to warrior, back to stance. So that's warrior 3. It's a little more challenging of a balance pose, so it really requires us to be grounded and to tune in to what's going on in the body moment to moment to maintain balance. If the attention goes, usually the balance also goes. Let's do a few forward bends now to release the lower back. So we'll do this dynamically, taking a breath in, reaching up, soften and bend your knees quite a bit as you fold forward, releasing down. Inhale, coming up. This is also a really nice possibility to do this pose to a chair. That's a really great option if you have stiffness and you want to make sure you don't go too far, or if you have issues of becoming dizzy if you go too far forward. And if you like, you can stay, so you might be staying with your hands or elbows on a chair, or reaching the elbows for the knees, or holding the elbows and folding forward. So any version of a forward bend that feels good to you right now. If it feels better to keep moving, that's great. Keep moving. And then let's come on up with a breath in. Releasing with an exhale. Great. And we'll come back to stand, come back to reconnect with the ground and felt sense. If you prefer to do this seated, you can certainly use the chair to sit on, or you can come to sit on the floor. Just know with a short class, and we spend so much time seated that you're more than welcome if you prefer to stand. Especially if you're heading back to work after this class and you're going to be sitting. So standing or sitting, whatever is connected to the ground or whatever's connected to what's connected to the ground, right? So your sit bones on the chair or your feet on the ground. So whatever is connected to the ground or to something else that's connected to the ground, you want to bring your attention there. You can shift your weight slightly side to side. Notice how that changes your awareness of pressure on your feet or sit bones. You can do a little tiny circle. This could be standing or sitting, just feeling your weight shift around what's on the ground, bringing your awareness to the earth, to the ground, to your body's connection to the earth, to the ground. And then finally coming to stillness at a place that feels centered. Centered over your sit bones, centered over your feet. Just like standing, we want to have the weight back on the sit bones, not leaning forward off the front edge of the sit bones, but really directly over the sit bones and slightly back. So you feel yourself engaged. We're not slumping or slouching. Connecting down into the earth, feeling a lift. And then bringing the palms together. And if it interests you, this is a suggestion, it's definitely not a requirement, but if it interests you to take this theme into your day, you might notice anytime you start to feel a little bit anxious or you feel yourself sort of ramping up in any kind of uncomfortable energy, coming back to the earth, back to your body, feeling the parts of your body that make contact with the earth, softening, sinking into those points, breathing and exhaling, sinking a little more. So using these tools to help to calm your nervous system when you feel yourself getting pulled away from your center. Grounding, felt sense, coming back to this moment. Namaste.